Deep listening, though, the expression deep listening is making a really important point, and that is that often our listening is at the surface of things. We hear what we want to hear. We hear what we expect to hear. And sort of listening deeper than that gives a skill that has to be learned. Otherwise, we're just kind of hearing ourselves talk. And there's lots of spiritual practices that help with that, learning how to listen deep. Some of them are quite challenging, I think, but they are the stuff that any real relationship needs, and certainly any spiritual relationship. This sort of, if you find that you always already know what God's going to say before you listen, you're probably listening at the surface of things.
Well, for me, deep listening is about really waking up and paying attention to what's going on. And I have been very poor at this. I have been really good at continually speaking. So deep listening is just waking up to what's going on around and being attentive to that. That's the practice for me. Is being aware that what somebody's saying isn't necessarily what they're meaning. And trusting in God's movement, not only in this world and not only within me, but within other people too.
I think that when I hear that concept of deep listening, for me, it is being silent enough and shutting my head off enough. It's not the quiet, it's the real silence of listening beyond. I think the other thing about deep listening for me is that real sense of trying to be present to someone. I think there's a deep listening if I were listening to you, and then there's a deep listening if I am listening to myself. But to me, it's that sense of being present, of being fully attentive and present, so that I can hear what's being said and not just acknowledge what's being said. It's really easy to look at somebody and, listen, but deep listening, I think, is going there with your soul. I think it's bringing compassion with you to the table in order to be able to listen to the things that maybe go beyond what the spoken word has to convey.
I think deep listening is about awareness, about watchfulness, about attending to your life. It's a gardener that is a master gardener and wants to understand the soil that these things are planted in. And so to understand why I do the things I do, asking questions about where depression, anger, sadness, anxiety come from, and then in the way of Jesus, moving towards those to tend and befriend those enemies of the soul, making friends with enemies along the way. And deep listening is standing into the silence long enough, into the darkness long enough, until there is a light that emerges that God's in, that says, this is the truth about what's happening. This is the roots of these things, and this is where my spirit will liberate.